25 years ago, my parents immigrated to Montgomery County because they believed in the promise of this country. They told me about their hardships that they faced in their native country. And their education system, one supposedly not as developed as ours, they didn't have enough papers and pencils for the students. Yet through all the lack of resources, through all their struggles, they never had to worry about someone barging into their classroom with an assault rifle and slaughtering everyone in their class. That is an American tragedy. They never had to think about getting shot at any moment. That's an American thought. And they never had to worry that their child would be the victim of a mass shooting.
You know,
American worry.
I love this, how we're putting words into the mouths. I don't know how people are going to school every day and learning. And I want to thank the folks that, allow us to go into schools, because these folks here are doing a grave disservice to the wonderful educators, the wonderful students that go to school each and every day. If you believe the media, and this is why we're the real news, the real talk, the real people, because if you just get your information from these nitwits, they're scaring the daylights out of everybody, especially this guy. You remember him, Grandpa Munster.
Nation and the Congress.
There we have it, Bernie Sanders. Let's get to your phone calls at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Brad in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Kevin. I wanted to comment on Scott's accusing me of hiding behind a microphone. As you've self-reported, I don't think a microphone would give you very much concealment, let alone cover. And you're probably much nearer the pointy end of the stick on a microphone. It's Scott who hides behind people, and the people who are pushing these children forward hide behind them. So isn't it kind of a matter of projection?
Well, look, I understand where he was going, but, at the end of the day, Brad, I'm not going to be lectured to by these little kids. Yes, we value them. Yes, they're intelligent, but the idea that all of a sudden they're going to start lecturing us on that they know more than we do, and the idea that we're letting them out of school. And I'd say more than half of them yesterday were out just having a good time and, hey, we're doing something. Well, until you're responsible for yourself or for someone else, I don't really think you have a leg to stand on in this case. And we're not hearing that from the media. All we're hearing about is, hey, these guys are good.
I agree with you, and the life experience, it really appears that our education system is doing our children no favors at all. They're being indoctrinated much more than educated, no critical thinking, 2 + 2 = 6, and that's good enough. It's a bad thing.
Well, the idea that this is an American thought and we live in fear, you go to schools in Idaho and across the area, yes, it's a concern, but there are concerns about a lot of things instead of the hyperbole machine that is running wild, really put together to achieve a political agenda, which is to disarm good, law-abiding people. Look, the criminals are going to get guns regardless of the restrictions.
Yep. And the children who are not learning the principles of the Constitution, in a lot of ways, that was a birthright of this country. Anybody who's born a citizen or anybody who is a citizen of this country, that's our protection. They don't understand that once that is just shredded, they have no protections.
Well, exactly. The state's going to protect them. Brad, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Don't forget, between now and 9 o'clock, we haven't forgotten, I have them right here, the Dancing with the Stars tickets. We will give you the skinny on how you can win them. It'll be very easy. Details coming up. Let's get back to more of your phone calls. Ron in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, Kevin. I'll be short and to the point. don't those kids know that our Congress in Washington, D.C. is bought and paid for by Wall Street? And also that the NRA gives big-time money to a lot of those our so-called representatives in Washington, D.C. to back the NRA. And there'll never be really gun control in this country. And I love people that say that we need our guns in case the government gets out of hand. Well, the government has tanks and jets. I mean, it's like throwing a rock up against the wall. You know, you're not going to do a whole lot of damage except maybe dent the wall.
You're going to do a whole lot more damage than you do with a rock.
Well, the thing is that those kids, hopefully they learn more outside of school than they do inside. And you have a good day, sir.
All right, Ron, thank you. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
1 month ago, 17 Americans, 14 children were killed at Stoneham. Let us remember them. Let us remember the thousands upon thousands of children who have died at the hands of gun violence. Yesterday, there were 7,000 pairs of unworn shoes here on the east front of the Capitol, representing 7,000 kids whose lives could have been before them. 7,000 kids who died of gun violence only since Sandy Hook. Enough is enough. Now, I've been through these wars. I am the author of the Brady Law and the assault weapons ban. The NRA has made me public enemy number one, and I'm proud of it. And we've been fighting for 10 years. Every time the vice-like grip of the NRA on the necks of some of these politicians has succeeded. But this time, it won't. You want to know why? It won't. Because we have you.
There we have it. Chuck Schumer proudly indoctrinating the students yesterday on the National Mall. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Brian in Nampa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, Brian.
Hey, man. I just had to comment on something. Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders. Hypocrites. I wonder what those students would think if they realized that those guys had armed guards around them while they were quoting all this gun control stuff. I find that rather interesting. You with me? I'm
just listening, brother. It seems hypocritical to me that they're going to lecture people on guns and safety. But again, that's what the libs are all about, hypocrisy.
And I just wanted to encourage you, Kevin. Keep playing this loud and proud. Let beta males like Scott call in. It just sells more guns. It sells more NRA memberships. It sells more GOA memberships, Idaho Association. They don't realize, and if they went and learned from a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, say like, I don't know, Jordan Peterson, the father of YouTube, the more they yell and scream, the more they wake up the giant, and it's going to backfire in their face. They're going to lose more elections. These kids are going to grow up, and they're going to have to face rape and murder and assault. I've used a gun twice to stop rape, and I never had to pull the trigger. I just pulled the gun out, and the bad people ran away. And I've called in and quoted CDC numbers before about how many times a gun is used in self-defense. And I also find it interesting. I grew up in the great state of Idaho over in Rigby area in eastern Idaho, and I graduated in 1990, and that was right before the Democrats passed that bill that you couldn't have guns in schools. And we had shotguns and rifles and pistols out in our cars and trucks. And the funny thing is we never had a shooting problem ever, because everybody knew, at least in my hometown of Rigby, that if a shooting happened, at least 1/3 or 2/3 of the student body would go out to their cars and trucks and handle it before even the cops got there. And it's funny how politics has changed and the problem has got worse. So keep up the good work, Kevin. You're winning the fight.
Brian, God bless. Thank you.
You bet.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning. Remember, coming up this hour, we'll be giving away tickets to Dancing with the Stars. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and the caller and the name folks are referencing is we had a caller last hour call me a tool of the NRA, saying I hide behind a microphone and I should go tell kids when we go to schools that they're being naive. Look, as I've said, we go to schools more than any other show in America. We don't hide from any issues. But the idea that I truly believe the folks at Boise High did this on their own without any adult coaching is preposterous. And quite frankly, I don't think that they should have been enabled to do this. And you show kids being kids. I mean, hey, this is great. I'm going to get a tardy, but who cares? Well, tell that to your parents. Tell that to us that pay for those schools. Oh, well, you're being an old curmudgeon. No, I'm being a responsible person. And when you get out of high school, that's the big lesson of life that they don't teach in school. And we'll get to that in a minute here at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Bill in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for the program, Kevin. I'm a high school teacher. I'm just getting ready to go into my classroom, and I just wanted to let the general public know what they have as far as teachers in most high schools, and I'm sure mine isn't different. But I've been a teacher for 15 years. I also have training through the military. I went through police academy. On my hallway alone, we have 9 male adults. 4 of them served in the military. One of them was a military MP. The other 3 or 4 of these gentlemen are good hunting buddies of mine who I would put my life in their hands at any time. And parents don't understand that as teachers, we have the ability to protect their students, their children, if we are allowed. I don't like to come to school every day thinking that, someone could barge into my classroom with an automatic weapon, and all I have to defend myself with is, maybe a chair or a backpack, whatever's laying near me. And what we need the citizens to just have more faith in the people who are in these classrooms, because we're not the stereotypical, teacher off Little House on the Prairie that can't defend ourselves. We have capable men and women in these schools who are totally capable of defending their children if they are allowed to have a concealed weapon. And it's not like we need to have them on a belt, exposed to the students. We could have biometric safes attached to our desks that were hidden out of sight, and in a moment's notice we can be armed and ready if we have to. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. We appreciate it. A teacher going into the classroom, the counter narrative to what we're hearing from the media today. Patriot Ray, hang on. Plus a couple other people coming up next. How you can win those tickets to Dancing with the Stars with me, Kevin Miller, on KIDO Talk Radio. And we continue on. Patriot Ray, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. So we've got kids being indoctrinated once again, kind of a reminiscence of Germany and Hitler's band of kids that they turned against their parents and everything they believed in, and so they lost their rights. We're looking at a situation where people need to stand up and look at history, which is not being taught to our kids today like it should be. And we're seeing outside sources coming in, rallying up people to get up and make these protests where we need to stand up and present our own view. I firmly believe in the Second Amendment. I firmly believe that it's not the gun that's the problem, but it's people, individuals who have problems, and that needs to be addressed. This young man who did the killings this last time, he had problems. They knew about it. Nobody stepped in and did anything about it. They just let it go until the mass murders took place. I think that's probably part of the game. Even though people don't want to believe that, I believe that is part of the game. make as many problems as you can. I believe it was Eric Holder who said never let a good crisis go to waste. So they're doing that. They're working hard to defeat us. And any government who wants to disarm their people is really against the people because they know the things they're doing and not what the people really desire. So keep up the good work, Kevin. I love your show. You're still doing an awesome job. You need to be out there and educating people like you're doing. I think that we need to just stand up for what's right and continue to move forward and not let these outside sources come into our states, indoctrinate our children to where the fact that they're living in fear because they think somebody's going to come in and take them out. And yet they don't want to have their teachers who are perfectly well trained and in most cases, those who want to carry to defend them. And I think that's a bad state of affairs, and we just need to keep moving forward. So stay fired up, my friend. Sorry, Liberal Steve, but it's afraid. I thought that, that was a sign of flattery when somebody uses something that you started up supposedly. But you have no control over what I say. So stay fired up, Kevin. Stay true. God bless you and KIDO for being able to speak up. Have a great day.
All right, Patriot Ray. God bless you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather together. And we go back to the phones at KIDO Talk Radio. Who's this? Good morning.
Hey, it's Pro-Life.
Pro-Life. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Yeah, you know what happened down there at the state capitol? All those kids ran off the school grounds, but of course, and went over to the capitol, not very far. And then they had the police, protecting them as they ran over there. But anyway, what that shows is that there's peer pressure that drives people's thoughts. Now, see, their parents told them, yeah, if you want to go over to the Capitol, do that, because it's the mushhead, North End liberal thinking. And so it's just, you're not going to see some kind of a protest like that in eastern Idaho and northern Idaho. It's just like right here isolated in Boise. And because that's where that mindset is, and it's wrong, and they don't realize it. But see, if you went on to and asked those children on the campus right there at Boise High, can I say that Jesus Christ was resurrected and he's God? Can we say that at your school? They'd say, no, don't say that. Can I say that it's wrong to be transsexual or gay? They'd say, no, you can't say that either. And can I say that abortion is murder? They'd say, no, don't say that in this school. So there isn't really freedom of speech, and it's a peer pressure prison. That's what I guess I'd call it. And so I don't know how to combat this except like through the Kevin Miller Show. And thanks very much. And I know you might have other callers, so. The funny thing is people talk about Boise High. Boise High was the place that didn't want us there because we went and supported the Bundys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They don't understand natural rights, the natural right to speak what you really believe the truth is. They think that group thought tells you what you can say or not in the group, and they just are mixed up kids. Some of them will get out of there. They'll learn there's people like us, and then they'll say, "Man, I remember when I ran off the Boise high school grounds and went over to the Capitol and was a monkey." So hopefully they'll just wake up. They're nice kids, and we just have to pray for them that they'll realize they're just being manipulated.
Oh, I would agree.
So anyway, and I hope Scott calls back.
Well, it's funny. I had somebody in the hallway say, "Boy, that was a fiery caller." I go, "That was my show in Pittsburgh every day. It would be me against the libs." The show here is very different from that, but like I said, that was the show every day.
And the NEA, National Education Association, the Idaho Education Association, those teachers' organizations, they're just as brainwashed about all of these things. And so that goes to the children. And so some conservative kind of teacher gets into that organization, and then for the sake of moving up in their job and being, socially compatible with the other teachers, they don't speak up. And that's a lot of it.
Right. I would agree.
So anyway, keep on trucking there.
Right back at you, little buddy.
All right. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, coming up, your chance to win tickets to Dancing with the Stars between now and 9 o'clock. Caller 20 when I give you the cue to call at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You'll win a pair of tickets to see Dancing with the Stars tonight at the Morrison Center. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Matt Post. I'm a 12th grader, the student member of the board for Montgomery County. And I believe that as students, we need to make a few things clear. To start, we will not sit in classrooms with armed teachers. We refuse to learn in fear. We reject turning our schools into prisons. We will accept nothing less than comprehensive gun control. And if it's what it takes, we will shame our national policymakers into protecting us. Not just in schools, but in churches, movie theaters, on the streets, and in the communities of color, which are disproportionately devastated by the sickness of gun violence. The lawmakers who fail to support us, those who look for every answer to our nation's gun problem, but the guns themselves, will be complicit in every death that comes after. To every politician sitting in Congress, working behind us, you get to decide who lives. And so this is not a partisan issue for us.
Oh, really? It's not a partisan issue. That was out in front of the White House yesterday, and I love the hyperbole, the ignorance, the naivete of the students, both locally and across the country. You want to honor the people that died. Don't politicize their deaths. Kevin Miller here, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get back to your phone calls. Let's go to John in Caldwell. Before we get to John in Caldwell, we're going to go to John Decker, joins us now live from the White House. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you doing today?
Oh, good to have you with us here, and just trying to keep pace with the president and, of course, the massive protest. Was that a topic at all at the White House yesterday, or do you expect it to be talked about today?
It really wasn't. Yesterday the president was out of town, so we didn't have a White House press briefing, and it didn't really come up either during the gaggle that was conducted by the deputy White House press secretary on Air Force One. So we'll see whether it comes up today. The briefing is scheduled for 2 o'clock, and that is certainly a topic that may be asked of Sarah Sanders, but there are certainly some other topics that Sarah Sanders will be asked, because this will be the first briefing since Rex Tillerson was shown the door, was fired on Monday. And so perhaps some questions regarding that. Also regarding what we see in the Washington Post today, that the president caught in recorded remarks at a fundraiser in Missouri indicating that he was not truthful in a conversation that he had with his Canadian counterpart, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, people are making a lot of that. What do you make of the president on the road, going to California, looking at the wall, then to Missouri, then talking about creating a space force, which a lot of folks think is necessary. Of course, the comedians had their way with that as well.
Well, look, the president throws a lot of ideas out there, and, whether those ideas are ones that will actually be pursued, is something we'll have to wait and see. But sometimes ideas that he throws out there are ideas that, the Pentagon and other agencies actually work on. Case in point is the president's idea for having a military parade. And already those plans are being made to have a military parade on Veterans Day in November here in the nation's capital. And that's an example of the president sort of throwing an idea out there, and then the generals at the Pentagon responding in kind.
John Decker joining us, Fox News Radio, live from the White House here at KIDO Talk Radio. We go back to the fallout over Tillerson. We are living in historical times, and people are saying all of a sudden the president is really electing his true cabinet, and I'm thinking somewhere Steve Bannon thinks, darn, maybe I shouldn't have talked to Michael Wolff. I'd still be in the White House with these guys.
Well, look, Rex Tillerson knew what he was signing up for when he joined this administration. He was leaving his position as chairman and CEO of ExxonMobil, the largest company in the world. And, there were lots of rumors that existed over the course of the past few months regarding whether Rex Tillerson would keep his job. At any time, obviously, seeing those rumors, he could have quit. I don't think that's in his DNA to quit. That's the reason why he stuck around. But the president announcing to the world these personnel changes using Twitter to do so, announcing that Mike Pompeo, the CIA director, would be his nominee to fill the role of Secretary of State. And in addition to that, the deputy CIA director, Gina Haspel, the president said in his statement, would be nominated to be elevated, essentially, to lead the CIA.
Of course, that could be a fight, and considering the makeup of the Senate, that might be easier said than done, getting her confirmed.
I'm sorry, what was your question, Kevin?
That would be a tough battle to get her confirmed to the CIA.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough, because of her background with the CIA black sites. Already Democrats have said they're going to come out against her, human rights groups, in addition, urging senators to vote against her nomination. And in addition to that, you also have Rand Paul, a Republican senator from Kentucky, saying that he will vote against her nomination. So it's an uphill battle. Right now, at this moment, I don't think that she'll be confirmed. There's always the possibility that she'll withdraw, or the White House will withdraw her nomination. But it's early in the process. We'll have to wait and see if there's momentum either way for confirming or for opposing her nomination.
John Decker, we always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our great friend John Decker is a little off there today. Let's go to the phones, and remember, caller 20 when I give you the cue to call for the Dancing with the Stars tickets, the pair that we're going to give away between now and 9 o'clock. But before that, we've got to clear the lines, which means we'll hear from you. Liberty Linda, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Yes, good morning, Kevin. I love listening to your show. You're loved so much because of your common sense. We are living in a world that is just backwards. I'd say most of your callers remind me of those who founded this country. They understand. And so, anyway, listening to them, you listen to someone that is speaking so clearly, and it's such a feeling that we don't hear around our world anymore. These kids are just being led. They're being led to fulfill other people's beliefs, and they're too young to understand. And, we have these emotional feelings for them because we know what they've gone through. So it's a very difficult situation. But anyway, I feel the Spirit when I'm in church, and I also feel the Spirit so many times when I tune into your show. The Spirit will be upon me when you speak, and so many of your wonderful callers. And Kevin, I just wanted to call in and tell you that this morning because I feel it so strongly.
Well, Liberty Linda, we appreciate you, and, sometimes you just have to say enough is enough, and you're kids and we're adults, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, enough is enough, and this is actually too much. They're just too young to understand. And, while we have these feelings for them, we love them so much, and yet we see what's going on. And I believe that's why our president was elected. He's a little rogue. He's a little different than most out there. And we say it's about time. It's about time we get back to someone that speaks truth. And, that's just the way I feel. And love your show so much. And you bring that to us every morning.
Liberty Linda, thank you. God bless.
Thank you. And may the Lord be with you, Kevin. We love you.
Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Let's go to John in Caldwell. My apologies. John, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Thank you so much just for everything you do and providing this platform that is such a powerful tool for many people to get their voice out there. Regarding the youth, our youth, and the walkout yesterday, it's actually almost quite funny that half the kids that walked out had no clue why they were walking out. Another part walked out because of peer pressure. Another part walked out because they wanted to chat on their cell phones. And I would say maybe 1% walked out there for an actual cause. So I like what your previous caller said, there's just so much peer pressure. But I know there was a part that actually walked out because they wanted to pay respects to the children that actually lost their lives that day. My question is, to truly honor these children, I think we need to be asking the real questions about what went on that day. We have an interview by a teacher in a classroom that day. In her interview, quote unquote, I'm paraphrasing, said she looked out her classroom door, looked down the hall, and she saw a shooter in full body gear, mask, boots, armor. And her exact question was, wow, when did the police show up? As she's telling her neighbor teacher to close his door, she closes her door and gets a graze wound to her skin. And my question is, supposedly the shooter Cruz walked out conspicuously as one of the students. No body gear, no armor. My question is, where is all that gear? It sounds to me like there's something much bigger going on. Like I said, we need to be asking the true questions. And I can use a prime example is what happened in Nazi Germany was Hitler himself burned down his own government buildings and blamed it on the Jewish people. And it was such a false flag event and that was his big propaganda of let's go after these terrorists. So let's truly ask the real questions if we want to honor these children. So thank you very much, Kevin, for this platform.
Thank you, John. God bless.
Thank you.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. We continue on. Let's go to Tea Party Bob with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Exciting show this morning. Glad you're bringing all of this out. Did anyone listen to the chant the kids were chanting yesterday at the Capitol? They were chanting, "This is what a democracy is." These kids don't even understand that America is a republic, not a democracy. If our teachers can't even teach our children that we live in a republic, what other misguided information are they teaching them? You know, we are responsible for everything that's taking place currently in our country. We have a liberal progressive movement that's been taking place for the past 50 years, and the roots of this movement have been in the education of our children. Conservatives have basically ignored the subtle changes that have taken place and that we've seen each year, but basically ignored in our grammar high schools and particularly in our colleges. We have, in many cases, abrogated our duty to see to it that a proper education of our offspring by not attending the local board meetings, the school board meetings, and making sure that the people serving on those boards are like-minded with the community they serve. You know, we have turned over the education of our children to the leftists of the world and basically allowed them to mold our children into today's chanting, follow a leader, crowd organizing, progressive liberals who do not have a clue as to what our Constitution stands for, or in most cases haven't got a clue as to what they're protesting for or why. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Society is responsible for what is happening today, and we need to get back to returning to a cohesive family unit with mom and dad teaching their children right from wrong. We need to put God back in our schools, our government, and our daily lives, or we're doomed to deal with more of these left-wing, professionally organized protests who want to take all of our important rights away, like our First and Second Amendment rights, the very rights that made this country great. I've often said that if younger people, or as some call them, the millennials, ever do decide to go to the polls and vote, they will change this country, and we're not going to like it. You could see that if you went to the polls on last Tuesday, you would have found polling places virtually devoid of voters except for those that wanted to approve the school levies and the elderly living on Social Security who are trying to keep taxes down by voting against the levies. This problem of figuring out how to implement principles of the popular majority rule while preserving stable governments that protect our rights was seen most vividly when our country was founded. And that eternal optimist, Benjamin Franklin, said, "It's a republic if you can keep it."
Well, that's the
Thank
key.
you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Tea Party Bob. We appreciate it. Let's continue on and go to Dave in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. I'm actually I'm hearing a different message from the voice of these students that you were playing that were out in front of the White House. they're calling for protection in all facets of their lives, the movie theaters and whatnot. And what I'm hearing is what was passed in Obama's first year in office, which was the arming of civilians to become a civilian police force. And that frightens me more than the message that these kids are being used for. I think what we're going to see as a push for the 2020 elections is this monster that's been hidden for the past 9 years slowly start to rise, and we're going to see a push for this civilian police force. That's what I'm taking away from the events in Washington.
Dave, thank you for the call. We go to Liberal Steve with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. All right, maybe not. All right, coming up next. You ready to do this, Ray? All right. Caller 20-580-5436. You win the tickets to see Dancing with the Stars, courtesy of KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning. We continue on. Kevin Miller here in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. It's funny. Funny how the time flies here, and I've just discovered LinkedIn. Very exciting. What isn't very exciting, though, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, is this issue involving students being used. And we had some good students, some good schools, where you had CUNA High School doing good works. You had Nampa High School, which we've been to many times, where you had people advocating for the Second Amendment. And while people continue to call and call and call to win the tickets to Dancing with the Stars, again, it's our way of thanking you. And we want you to tune in. We want you to tell a friend. And again, this program is like that of a small business. We're calling this Thank You Thursday. So each and every Thursday, we'll try and have a good prize for you. And you can tell folks to listen and hopefully win, right? But back to this issue involving kids being used. And to me, when I see this, it's propaganda. Kids being used against their will to advocate for something that cannot be litigated. By the way, congratulations to John in Nampa. John in Nampa won the tickets that I have right here. Light up the night with the Morrison Center. Now, John, you're going to have to swing in here before 5 to make sure that you get these tickets for tonight's big show at the Morrison Center with all the big stars coming. I would look to park somewhere. I'd get here early because you've got the NCAA tournament coming on with Kentucky, Gonzaga, Ohio State, everybody yapping. By the way, we haven't forgotten about the issue that's going on in Preston, Idaho. We've been talking with a few people. We have a few people that want to defend Mr. Crossland. They will join us tomorrow morning as well. Let's get you to work safely and on. And from Terry, and formerly of State College, Pennsylvania, Kevin, that was the best Liberal Steve caller I've ever heard on KIDO Talk Radio. I appreciate that. We continue on. Let's see. I listened to your program this morning on yesterday's school walk, and so I wonder if the demonstrators, or more precisely, Democrat activists or Democrat professional agitators, would be allowed to leave school to march against the assault on the unborn. The most horrific assault weapon are the tools of the abortionist. Where is the concern of life when it comes to aborting the class of 2036? Where is the voice for those who have had their graduations torn from them? My guess is that the true organizers of yesterday's marches would scream like demons if any Frank Beretta book should any student show any feelings towards the unborn. Well, I would agree with you. I would totally agree with you. The left, the libs, as we so lovingly call them, because that's exactly what they are, they preach tolerance, but they are the false prophets. They are truly the false prophets when it comes to tolerance, when it comes to understanding, when it comes to dissent. And you can tell I get a little excited about this because, you start the little jabroni rapid fire syntax in my speech. And usually, most of us are too busy. The other day somebody said to me, I'm too busy to fight for this country. I want to go hang out with my grandkids. And I'm going, tell that to the founding fathers. The battle continues. And one thing about the libs is the libs don't give up. They want to fight. The libs continue to try and and do what they want and try and convert us or to turn the country against us. You saw what happened after 8 years of Obama. That could happen to us very, very easily. So coming up tomorrow, we will talk more about the brainwashed kids. Number one. Number two, we will go back to Preston, Idaho, and find out why isn't there a conclusion to this incident? It seems like the community wants the teacher to get away with what he did, allegedly, and they don't want any consequences because he's a good teacher. He's been there for 30 years, and he's been maligned. Well, then maybe it's time for him to speak up, and we would offer him that opportunity. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. May God bless you and your family. Ray, great job. Keep the faith, everyone.